wonderful souls. We have got Penelope Magoulianiti for you, okay? And she's radiant, she's amazing, she's spectacular. I'm not saying that just because she's here on the podcast with us, but she surely is. So she is a transformational coach who's working with women. She's helped transform hundreds of lives. Women juggling with motherhood, juggling with work life balance. Who am I? Am I a mother? Oh, but I have my identity too. I would like to have a work life balance. I don't know, where do I go? So she's been in that place. She's not here just to preach. She's been there, come out of it, being a celebrated author for women, motherhood, and independence. Did I get that right? Yeah, women,
Yes, you
motherhood, and
have.
independence. Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
Women, Motherhood, and Independence. That's a spectacular book that she has authored. And at the end of the podcast, you're like, oh my God, I'm really inspired. I really want to know what Penelope has to say in the book. You're most welcome to go on Amazon and get it. We'll come back to it again. But here we dive in. Get your notepads ready. Be completely present. If you're listening to it while you're driving, then of course, eyes on the road. But otherwise, try to be fully present because this hour is your hour, the time you have taken to invest in yourself. The intention of the podcast is to help you take the next step, move from overwhelm to flow, move from people pleasing to being your authentic self. Align with your true purpose. Do what you're here for. You're not here to please anybody else. You're here to be the best version of yourself, the best version of you. And the stage is all yours, my lovely lady Penelope. Here we go. So I would love to start with, I would like to mention that we had a brilliant connection call together, and it felt as if, oh my God, I've known her for so long. She is so warm and so what we want in the podcast, really, deep connections. So, Penelope, please let us know about, what was your life like, where the turning point came along, where you felt like, oh, that's it, that's enough. I'm not gonna keep juggling with, exchanging my time for money, and I don't know how to balance work, motherhood. Let's say your life, give us a glimpse of your life about, say, 5 years back or 10 years back. And what happened? What pushed you to make this move to align with what you want?
Fantastic. First of all, I want to say a big thank you for inviting me to your podcast. And I am so grateful to have connected with you and have that beautiful chat a couple of weeks ago. Hello, everyone. So, 10 years ago, I will go 11 years back because it was a turning point in my career. I used to work in corporate and I was this success driven, career driven woman who had two young kids. And she was struggling in so many different levels. I had personal development in my life. I was going to the seminars, I was reading the books, I was attending the online courses, and I was guarding, or so I thought, myself from all the negativity and stuff. But I was entering the financial space, and you could feel the energy changing. It was all about competition. It was all about being a woman to prove yourself that you are worthy, that you are enough. And I was goal oriented. So I had, and I don't know if you've noticed it, Ruchi, the women that they are so much goal obsessed, they have this harshness in their on their faces, and it's not because we shouldn't be goal oriented. This is not what I'm saying. It's because we have the wrong perception on how we need to show up. So I was trying to be a masculine woman to compete with a masculine man. You never win
No,
in
no.
this game.
But literally, you're in a place, literally what you said. So you're surrounded by men. You're here to prove your worth. And would you agree that you might have to work 10 times harder than possibly a male colleague, which is not unusual? Now, if you want to survive in that environment, what do? You put your feminine energy to aside and you're like, that's it. I'll keep pushing. I'll keep hustling. I'll keep hustling. Yeah.
And I was fortunate that my male colleagues, they were very good people. But again, that myth, that perception, that stereotype, no, 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 I have to be tough. I have to figure everything out. Don't show too much feminine side of yours, because you never know what your clients might think. And I ended up working 10 times more, never
Mm,
relax, always
true.
coming back home with work, pushing
Mm,
myself, not being completely present with my two young kids and my husband, because I was an investment banker. I should be on alert. And then I am Cypriot, I am Greek Cypriot. So 2013, March 2013, there was the big bail-in happening in Cyprus, which means the two biggest banks went bankrupt.
oh boy.
And to save the one, they had to shut down the other. It went to
Mm,
the European Union, it went everywhere. And actually, we were a case study of what can happen if banks collapse. And that was my turning point, because lots of clients lost their money.
mm,
Bail-in means I'm taking your money to save the bank. So apart from 100,000 euros that they were guaranteed by law, you've lost the
mm,
rest. I've lost
um,
half of my pension, 20
mm,
years of hard work lost. Millions have lost, lives have changed, and we had threats coming in. We
of
had
course.
very angry clients. Imagine that negativity. I'm telling you this now, and I need to shake myself,
I'm
because
having goosebumps, yeah, because
yeah, I
it's
still
yeah.
receive this
Mm,
goosebumps every time I'm thinking what we had to go through, all of us. And one
mm,
night, my kids woke up with nightmares about me. My daughter was 2 years old, and my son was 6 back then. And they were both screaming, "No, mommy, no, mommy." And I remember it as it was yesterday. I sat on that step after it took me an hour to put them both back to sleep. And I
mm,
sat at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I promised myself, you are resigning first thing in the morning.
mm,
And they had schemes back then for the employees to go. Imagine two big banks becoming one. You have lots of people
mm,
that you don't need,
mm,
basically.
mm,
So I went in and I said, that's it, I'm resigning. I took my decision. It feels good, because I had no right to pass this negative energy, my stress, to my kids. I wasn't a good mother. I wasn't a good wife. And I was burning out already at that point. I was extremely tired. And also, I wanted to protect my relationship. I had a great relationship with my husband, but if I wasn't paying attention to it, wasn't paying attention to myself and who I was and my health, then I was
yeah,
giving a disservice to everyone.
true.
So I stopped. I resigned. And I didn't know
Mm.
what to do. And I was 40 years old, and I had no clue what to do back then. And I said, you know what?
Well, I
I
mean,
will figure it out.
let's just take a moment. Let's just go back in time, as if I know you've walked really past, but what was this moment like? You're 40-year-old.
When I
You
resigned,
have your Yeah, even before the resignation, remember that just a moment back. So here are two young kids who have woken up with a nightmare and they're taking your name. You're like, you are awestruck. You're like, okay. And here you're sitting at the step. You're like, that's it, I'm resigning. What happened in this moment? What was going on? Was there a plan in action? What am I going to do next? How am I going to figure things out? What was
You
happening?
know what? I've never thought about it, but now that you are asking this question,
Mm-hmm.
we were living back then. It was, let's just say, a month for
Mm-hmm.
us in that department. It was a nightmare. We were
Mm-hmm.
trying to talk with our clients, to comfort our clients, to find solutions because it wasn't our fault. And we
No.
had
Yeah.
clients that were sick, and it was obstacle after obstacle after obstacle because the bank lost control. Now the government was deciding and the European Union was deciding on what's going to happen, Troika. And I remember when I said, that's it, I'm gone. I am resigning first thing in the morning. It was like a heavy weight lifted from my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I went and I remember first thing I walked in the office, I said, good morning with a big smile. We weren't smiling back then. You couldn't. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't. I mean, and I remember I took this big box, the archive boxes that we had, and I put a smiley on it. I just drew a smiley on it and I started putting my personal stuff inside. They were
Mm-hmm.
asking, what are you doing? I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm gone. Enough. And it took another a month or two until, a transition needs to happen. But I was okay. I've never regretted it. I've walked away from a very good job, good salary, good benefits. I knew that I wouldn't lose my job,
Mm-hmm.
but I walked away.
But then
I
it's
didn't
like,
want to
what?
continue without a plan. Without a plan.
Without a plan, yes. But
Without a
right now,
plan.
when you went into that feeling, like, when you came in, like, okay, I'm done, you did not go in with fear. You did not go in thinking. It was as if
No.
a cage door had opened and you were like, that's it, I'm free. It's a blank canvas. I can go back to myself rather than proving me to the rest of the world. Yeah.
You know what? I trusted God.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe in God, if you believe in universe, whatever our listeners or people that are watching us believe, I had this trust that I will figure it out and I will have the God's intervention to help me to do that, just
Mm-hmm.
that. Also plays a big role the fact that my husband supported every decision I've
Mm-hmm.
made. And it comes down to good communication. I won't say lack because, when two people come together,
True.
they are full of dreams and hopes and
And
love
some
and
romantic
passion.
novels
And
and some films in their head.
yes, but after that, it's how much effort, presence, communication, openness you put in to keep this relationship
Of
keep going.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
And my husband has been a rock for
Mm-hmm.
me from the beginning, especially after that.
Right.
So I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us, Penelope, because I mean, the moment you said what happened, the banks collapsed, people are calling, I need the money. I was having goosebumps. I'm like, okay, fine. Now, would you say that when you look back at that moment, it was a blessing in disguise, as if one more step towards who you are meant to be? So it's like, we live in this outward facing world, as you said, prove this, prove that, keep working, keep working, keep working. But it was as if, like, is that what you really want, Penelope? And then, you have a moment of choice where you took a choice and you turned inward. You're like, well, I'm making a choice.
Yes.
From that point on. Yeah.
I took
Yes.
that choice.
Yes. No, no, go.
Yes.
No,
Sorry.
no, go on. Go on.
I wanted to add that I took the choice. I was afraid. Obviously, I was walking away from something that I
Hmm.
knew major leap out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it wasn't, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it was an easy
Yeah.
journey, to become who I am today. But at the end of the day, this journey with so many
Mm-hmm.
challenges and failures and obstacles, it is so
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling. And it's, I've grown so much as a woman, as a person. I don't know, I've become so resilient and so determined and so resourceful.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind working 10, 12 hours a day if I have to. I normally don't
Yeah.
because I try to maintain
True.
my life balance. But if I
True.
have to, I do. And I'm happy about it because I love what I do.
Mm. Hold that thought, Penelope. So, you mentioned about the failures, you mentioned about the challenges. In all these years of everything you faced, would you agree that had you not faced all of those challenges, they were like as if coming and kind of refining the diamond, everything that was sticking
Mm,
onto it, everything that it's like, we are these diamonds and there's layers and layers and layers of, I don't know, all everything that's sitting on it. And they're like scraping it, scraping it. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, but the
mhm,
more of you, the true you, who you're meant to be. Like step by step by step by step, it's coming out, right? And that's
mhm.
spectacular.
Yeah.
That's spectacular. So that's the journey of growth. Had you not chosen, had you not made a choice to go outside of your comfort zone, would this magic have ever happened? Would you be the person you are today?
No,
Impossible, isn't it?
I wouldn't. I mean, if I look back and I see the course that the banking sector took since the bail-in, what happened back then, no, I would be miserable. Knowing
Mm-hmm.
me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking about myself now, my ex-colleagues, some of them, they might enjoy their work still, but this is me, and I'm having this note for people that they're going to watch us later on also on the social media platforms. For me personally, that work, which I'm so grateful, I've been there for 20 years, it was a cycle that completed
Mm-hmm.
and closed.
Mm-hmm.
A full circle.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am on another journey, another cycle bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that I achieve one milestone, it means that I am stepping
Mm-hmm.
on another cycle. And life is runs through
Mm-hmm.
cycles, like the four seasons.
Very true.
Yes. And especially since I am using now this metaphor, my new journey had the autumn, the winter, the spring, and the summer.
True.
And at the beginning, it was too much hassle. Imagine coming out from a structured corporate world, procedures, everything is in place.
Yeah.
You have the manuals for
Mhm,
this and the manuals for that, and you have to do this
mhm,
and you have to do that. And then you
mm,
step into a world that you sit on your desk or on your on your kitchen table, and suddenly
yeah.
it's like, okay, now what do
Now
I
what?
do? How do I
And
create
and
this?
when
How do I
you
create structure
and when you
with
make this
two young
journey,
kids, you know?
oh my God, okay. And I think in a structured job, like a whole lot of things can still stay under the garb and you can keep going. But I think the journey you took, the entrepreneurial journey, all the gremlins, all the saboteurs, all the limiting beliefs are out there. You can't put anything under the carpet anymore. They are out. out in the
No.
open. You can't run away from them. You can't go around them. You can't go above them. You got to go through them. Like, you've got to face them. So, Pallavi, share
Yeah.
with us, like, here you are sitting on the kitchen table. You're like, okay, now what? What did you do? What was the first step? Like, where do I go from here? I'm feeling overwhelmed. There's no structure. I don't even know where do I go. What was the next step?
Well, there is a saying that we have in this culture that basically says, "When you're ready, the teacher appears." So
Yes.
while while I was trying to figure out what to do, to my attention about someone promoting a way to write a book. And I love books.
Mm,
I read a lot. I am
mm,
surrounded by books. I read every day. Every single day I read. Either I have the time or not, I am reading. And I
mhm,
read different style of books. I read about my work to enhance even more my knowledge, but I also read fiction. I
mm,
relax my mind. My One of my self-care rituals is to read detective books. I love detective
mm.
books and I love mystery and I love them. I don't know. It's because I don't think. I don't have to think
Yeah.
to learn something. I just, it's just a
Mhm,
mystery and I try to solve it in a different way. Anyway, so when I've read about this course on how to write your book, I said, okay, I will try this one. I will write a book in 90 days. So
okay.
it had a structure. So I structured my time in a way that actually, so it's not 10 weeks, 10 weeks, write your book in 10 weeks. And it self-published my book. So I said, okay, I'm going to write my book in 10 weeks. And then my mindset, my negative little voice came and said, who are you to write a book? What do you know
Mhm,
to write this book? What do you have to say?
mhm,
Don't write this book, it's going to be a failure. And, you know, I thought, no, 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 no. I will write it for me. I will just put my thoughts on a piece of paper. And I committed to writing 90 minutes per day. So
mhm,
I was sitting to write 9 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. every single night. And I
mhm.
finished it. I published it in 10 weeks.
A
And
minute there. A minute. A minute. Let's just take a moment there. No, let's just say, see, this is what I always feel like, when we look at our own life, yeah, and then I did this and then I did this. No, this is magnificent. So here you are sitting on the kitchen table. What do I do now? And then, when you say, like, that is so true. When you're ready, the teacher appears. You're like, okay, like, I'm going to write this book. You face the negative belief. Who are you? How are you going to do it? Like, no, I'm going to do it. You know, your mind is like this goal seeking missile. You're like, okay, I'm going to do it. How am I going to do it? You precisely took one step. Now, you did not sit there thinking, oh my
yeah,
God, I need to write a book. Oh, I might take a year. No. So there's some planning that went into it. Okay, 90 days it is. Okay, I'm a busy mother. I've got commitments. Okay, I'm going to do 90 minutes a day. No, these are all such brilliant learning points for anybody who's watching, because see, that is how you kind of make it in small, little, doable chunks. If you start thinking like, oh my God, I need to do this, nothing happens. No, I would
yes,
like
a
to
good
give a big
technique that I always use, and thank you for grabbing this. A good technique that I always use is reverse engineering my goals.
mm-hmm.
Because for every one of us, a big goal is daunting, is scary, and it creates
True.
procrastination and resistance. But if you
Yes.
reverse engineer it, so this is what I want to do. What's the next of before that? What's the obvious step before that? Before that, and you come to now. It's so easy to do it because you just pay attention and you're focused on the next obvious step in front of you,
I
the
love.
next
Mm-hmm.
step.
Yes, the next step.
I've managed to climb Mount Fuji when I was 50 years old. That's last year
Uh,
in Japan. Never been a climber before. I was completely out of shape. And I was climbing up and I was starting to panic a little bit because when you look up,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot see the summit, the top of the summit. And another fellow climber tell me, Penelope, just follow, just focus on the next possible step. What's the next step? And after that, I've never looked up again. It was the next step and the next step and the next step.
Mm-hmm.
8 hours after I was at the top, it was a fantastic experience. And this is how I run my business now in my life. Yes, I have my big goals, I have my
Mm-hmm.
big dreams, but to be able to reach my summit is what's the next
Mm-hmm.
obvious step.
That's such a beautiful metaphor for life. No, literally, the mountain journey that you talked about, that's what we do, isn't it? If you start thinking, how am I going to reach there? Well, that's when you go into procrastination and overwhelm. But that metaphor works so well in life. Anybody watching, if you're an entrepreneur, you work for somebody, you're an employer, whatever your journey is, what's my next step? Yes, have that big goal, but then celebrating every step as you go as well. I'm going to be happy when I reach there. The problem
Oh,
is the
yeah.
gap is too big and you're going to lose your motivation and your mojo. So, literally, like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then what's the celebration? What's the reward? What's the tiny reward that I can do to appreciate and celebrate myself? I think for me personally, that's a big push. Like, if I
Mm,
were to think, okay, I'm just going to keep going and keep going. Yes, I have met people like that, but I think what's the fun? It's like, literally, I won't name anyone, but so I'm gonna keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then once I reach it, okay, done. Now what's next? And I'm like, there's no fun to life that way. Like,
mhm,
why are you even doing that? Because it's not just about reaching that summit. It's not about you becoming an entrepreneur or a coach or whatever. It's the journey. It's the journey reaching there, how you grew. I mean, you mentioned
mm.
about your big. So if you were to reach your big goals, just okay, Penelope wants it, that's it, it's done. The genie has appeared, it's done. Would that really be fun? The journey, the
No.
growth that we have in reaching our goals, I think that is the biggest gift rather than reaching just someplace. Yeah.
I agree because, I've been in the position that I created this big goal
Mm-hmm.
and I became so obsessed and unhappy at the same time because
Mm-hmm.
my mind, it was such a big goal where my mind started screaming, no, 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 that's danger, danger, danger. Our minds, anything that is outside of
Mm.
our comfort zone,
Yeah,
even if it's for
true.
our own good, is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
This is how brilliantly our mind works because
It just wants to
this
keep
is
you
how
safe,
we
no matter what.
survived thousands of years ago when we used to live in the caves,
True.
caveman, all the dangers, but that those dangers are not here now. We live in a safe environment, or mostly anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but the mind is still
Mm,
there. It hasn't evolved from that fear.
yeah.
And um, every time, and when I had that big goal, it was a recipe for failure for me because I
Mm,
got so obsessed and so panicked that I took a step back and I had to let go and
mm,
readjust.
mhm,
And I want to share a current example. Currently, I'm working on a book, and my deadline
mhm,
is 31st of August to be published. And this is how I broke that again. I broke the goal. I started contacting my research at the beginning of this year. I wake up every morning, almost every morning. I write first thing in the morning when it's still dark outside and I am on my own and it's so quiet and beautiful. And this is how I take the next step and the next step and the next step.
Penelope, tell us
And I
what
celebrate
keeps you.
every day.
Yeah. No, but what keeps you going? So here you are. Okay, this is my next step. Life happens, shit happens,
Mm.
things happen. So you want to get up in the morning. You have made a promise to yourself that on a calm, serene day, this is good, great, amazing. But then all of us know that's not every day of life. So
Yep.
you are having a crappy day. And how do you keep yourself on track on that day to still do it? How would you make that work?
Great question. Two things. First, we must learn to listen to our bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When you are because you have a terrible headache, migraine, or if you're sitting too many hours like me, I get neck problems if I don't do my exercises, if I don't do my rituals, my stretching, my yoga, whatever, then listen to your body. Rest.
Mm-hmm.
Take the
Yes.
time off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because I work a lot with the mind and I am where I am in my journey because I've worked so much on my mindset to change my
Mm-hmm.
negative thoughts, to replace my negative belief systems, to understand what's going on, to become aware of what's going on in my head and why I am reacting the way I am reacting. When I resist something and I
Mm-hmm.
label it as a bad day, and might have been a bad day. Life
Mm-hmm.
happens. We have kids, we have husbands. Maybe something happened at work. Life is 50-50. It's not always happy and joyous and wonderful. But during that 50% of life that things don't go the way we want them, where
Mm-hmm.
our expectations are not met, what do we do? Do we resign and walk away? Or do we reevaluate and we try to understand what went wrong and why am I resisting to keep going?
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that, probably there is a fear,
Mm-hmm.
something that is causing you to stop, to resist. If it's
Mm-hmm.
not a physical pain, let's just put it
Mm-hmm.
this way. If it's not something physically that is causing you the pain, you had an
Mm-hmm.
accident, you don't feel well, we go through a lot. Then
Mm-hmm.
if it's not that, then what is it? What
What has
is
come to tell you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What is preventing you? What is the thought that is creating this feeling of resentment, resistance, procrastination? What is it? And you start from there. Why am I feeling
Mm-hmm.
this way? Why am I not doing this? And I just came out from a session with a client of mine and she told me something and she said, I want your help on this, and I'm not going to share the details, obviously, respect from my client. And I said, okay, tell me how you feel. And
Mm-hmm.
from that single question, we ended up 40 minutes later to
Mm-hmm.
uncover that her real problem, it wasn't now. The real resistance and the real feeling started 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was what's holding her back. And usually, when we are not living up to our zone of genius,
Mm-hmm.
is because we are holding ourselves back. And now, listeners and our viewers, if you think, but I am not Penelope, I'm not Ruchi, I am not that woman that she was willing to work, you are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
You are unique. And I want to pass this message. We are not cleverers, more competent, whatever.
Yeah.
You are capable to achieve whatever you want in life if you are committed to make it possible.
Mm.
Commitment and determination and a never give up attitude. That's the secret.
Yeah.
There is no big secret.
That is so true. People talk about motivation. I always feel motivation is like having a bath. We do have a bath every single day, right? So that's like motivation. think self-discipline is something that keeps you going. You pointed it so rightly that when your body is asking you to stop, that's a recipe for burnout. Like, okay, fine. But you have to understand, where is procrastination coming into play and where is your body telling you to stop. With self-awareness, it's easier to discern where is it coming from. Yeah, that is
Exactly.
so true.
Yeah.
Like, this was so just to summarize, what Penelope has shared with us. One is taking the next small step. Literally, no matter what happens, I am gonna so many things from the session, but I think the one thing I'll always remember, in any journey I take is the Mount Fiji example you said. Like, when you're taking the next step,
Yeah.
as soon as you look up at the peak, you're like, oh my God. But then when you kept doing like one step at a time, 8 hours later, you're up there. That's what life is all
Hmm.
about. And again, like, if you took a helicopter and you were at the peak of that Mount Fiji in 2 minutes, would that really give you the joy, the experience that you were looking for? No. So I think it's the same with the goals we decide for ourselves. Yes, we want to reach them, but I think it's the person you become while you reach
Mm,
them is what gives you the growth,
exactly.
the joy, the learning. Yeah,
And
that's
this
so
is
true.
such a great point, Ruchi, because even if you trick your climb to the mountain with a
Mhm.
helicopter, yes,
It's not gonna work.
your mind on that top, at that top of the summit, is going to start telling you, why are you celebrating? You haven't done anything. You're a
True. It's so
failure.
fun.
You're
Yeah.
an imposter. You tricked people. And the result will be worse than the one that
Yeah.
you try to prevent. Again, you will have to come down of that summit anyway. So my
Yeah.
hardest thing was coming down,
Oh,
not going
okay.
up.
Okay, coming
My
down.
challenge,
Okay.
it was coming down,
Right.
trusting the process to slide down, because on the other side of the mountain, obviously there is easier route to come down without the rocks and the hazard. It's just from lava that it became soft, and
That
you should trust the process and just slide your way down with the feet, allowing each feet to slide, each step to slide. And I
so
was
you
having
can't walk
hard,
down. You have to just slide.
I was having hard to trust that I will slide and I wouldn't fall
You
down and
slid
kill
all the way
myself.
down the mountain. Is that what you're telling
It
me?
was step by step. It was like, I don't know how to say this. You know, when kids play this game that they hop and slide and
Mhm.
hop and slide, that thing. And it was the hardest part for me.
But then it's a lifetime of experience. Well, literally, I would just really, I can't help but share it. Like, the one sentence that I heard, which literally transformed how I look at life. Life is about learning and growth. Life is not about success and failure.
Yeah.
When I think I need to keep reminding this to myself, because yeah, I mean, that's the only way you can keep going. Because if you start thinking about success and failure, you can never align to something new in life. You can never learn something new in life. You would find it difficult to listen to any guidance that comes through as well, because it's going to be new, because it's going to be outside of your comfort zone. All growth, all learning, all magic happens outside of your comfort zone. This is the fact, and you can't get
Yeah.
away from it. And if you
Yeah.
feel that
And
all
if
my
you
dreams
don't,
can be achieved within my comfort zone, well, you're not dreaming big enough. You're not living in the zone
exactly.
of your genius. No.
Exactly. And at the end of
Yeah.
the day, if you don't want to fail, don't have dreams. I mean,
Oh my God, I love
people,
that. Yes. Yeah, no, that's so true. That's the gist of everything. If you want to dream, be ready to fall, be ready to fail, and how to get back up. And remember, there
yeah,
will be times when you fall down and you're like, I haven't got a clue. I don't know what to do. But when you find a way to get back up, guess what you'll get? Guess
yeah,
what you'll get? The mojo to understand why you're doing it in the first place. And that increases the joy of what you're going, whatever your goal or your desired outcome is. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yes. And if still after this conversation you need more proof, pick up a person that you admire
Mm,
and go learn about how they succeeded. I mean, I love basketball, and one of my favorite basketball players is Michael Jordan. Yes.
yes.
He lost 9,000 games or something crazy in his career. Another
Mm,
great player for me, another great athlete is Roger Federer. I love tennis. I love his style. I love his character. And I was watching an interview the other day, and he said, "You know what? I won almost 80% of the games, but my points uh, is 54%, which means almost half of the time he lost points, but he still won."
mm,
J.K. Rowling's, how many times was she rejected for Harry
mm,
Potter? 12 editors, uh,
mm,
publishers, sorry. And they told her, go find a job because nobody leaves from children's books, if I'm quoting
mm.
correctly that interview.
So,
And
mm,
here she is,
mm,
one of the most wealthy, best known authors out there.
true. Had she given up while those people were telling her, no, this won't work, this won't work? I think that's the test. Are you going to give up or are you going to keep going? I think whenever you
Yeah.
dream something, you have a goal against that test. Okay, this is the challenge. Are you going to get past it or are you going to give up? Now,
Yeah.
we are all like these brilliant souls, you know. How
Yeah.
I feel it is like we are all spiritual beings who have chosen to have a human experience for the sake of growth, for the sake of learning,
Yes.
not to prove anyone anything. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think each one of us has a mission on this world.
Yes, totally, totally. Could not agree more. We
Yeah.
all come with these unique, you know, again, you and me are different. I'm not talking about just the looks, you know, but how we perceive life, what our life circumstances have been, what are, how, literally everything. And I truly, genuinely believe from the fiber of my being that this vehicle that we have taken is kind of taken for a reason because it is designed for the mission you choose for this life. Now,
Yeah.
had you chosen to keep going, not listen to your deeper calling, and keep going in that banking job, okay, maybe you might have had security, but guess what? That spark, that smile that you have right now, the radiance you have right now, the joy you have right now, that I am aligned to who I am meant to be, that's gone. That would go.
Yeah.
That would really go. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe, you know, life is beautiful when it's hard if we change how we see it, if we change
Mm,
our perspective, if we
so true.
change
So true.
our thoughts around it. Yeah. And I'm not saying I don't have problems. I have, and I will.
Mm,
And I have my insecurities, I have my fears. Right now, my son, for the first time, he's traveling to Italy on a school trip, first time alone out of the house. And I am this
mm.
mother that I want to be brave. But behind my head is, oh my God, my baby boy, he won't be at home tonight, you know? That's that's another challenge as a mother, and the mothers out there that they went through this, they will understand. For those of you that you're going to go through this, you will remember my words. So,
I think every age they grow is a challenge, but yeah, yeah. I think it's about being the
yeah.
wind beneath their wings rather than, I don't know, do this or don't do this or, yeah, they have come here for, like we are here for our own unique purpose. They are there for theirs. You know, our children come through us, not from us. I try to
Yes.
remind myself that. Now, let me tell us about, I don't know, maybe a recent story of one of your clients. Basically, what they came to you
Mm.
with, what was their experience like, and what did they walk away with? Because you're a transformational coach, you help women move from, and I think in this day and age, how many people are struggling with work life balance? A lot, right? And if like, oh, if even if I start talking about, your dreams and your inner goals, you're like, I've got bills to pay, I've got children to send to school. So tell us about a journey. What did they come to you for? What did they walk away with?
Yes. I tell my clients that I need to get their permission, first session, to take a photo of them and meet during our, the period that we work together.
Mm.
Their faces transform.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I have this magical wand that I do my magic tricks and
Mm.
I change their faces. It's because I help them release the pain, the negativity, all those negative thoughts they have about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
As women, we tend to believe the worst. We are our worst critics. So, this client of mine, she came very angry. She had an angry face.
Mm.
She's been through a lot.
Mm.
Very strong woman, capable woman, but life circumstance and the way she reacted and acted towards her thoughts led her to face what she was facing, problems
Mm.
with her marriage, an emotionally absent situation. And she's crying a lot. And she sends me a message one day, she say,
Mm.
Penelope, what are you doing to me? I cannot stop crying. And
Releasing.
I know, and we know that when we cry, we release.
Mm.
We release
True.
all the negativity, all the emotions that we push down, and we avoid
Mm.
to deal with.
Mm.
And she changed. She is a changed person. We still have work to do, but she has changed so much,
Penelope,
so much.
this is phenomenal. But what if somebody listening to this is thinking, Penelope, if I work with you, are you gonna just make me cry? What would you tell them? Like, if I start working with you, is it gonna be like,
I cry a lot. I actually lately I've been crying a lot. I've been dealing with let me give you my example where I can speak more freely. 2, 3 months ago, um, I had to deal with a situation that happened when I was 17 years old.
Mhm.
I'm 51 now, as I've said, and I've buried those emotions deep, deep, deep down.
Mhm.
And even after all this work I'm doing, because I have my own coach, I believe to be a great coach, you
To
have
have
to
your own
keep
growth?
working on
Good.
yourself.
Agree more.
If you are
Yes.
not willing to go deep, if you're not willing to go deep and sort yourself out, then you cannot go deep with your clients and help them do the same.
True.
So anyway, this situation came up, and I've been dealing with this situation, working around it, working with anyway, and I thought I've resolved everything.
Mm.
And obviously I
Mm.
haven't. There was something there that was pushing
Mm.
me. And I started crying with no
Mm.
reason. I was watching a sad movie, I was crying. I was watching a happy movie, I was crying. I was thinking, I was crying. I was listening
Mm.
to the Greek song that went to the Eurovision Song Contest. I was crying. And I
Mm.
thought, oh my God, something's terribly wrong with you. What's wrong with you? What's happening? Why are you crying so much? And after some inner work, I realized that I needed to let go all those emotions that they were inside me bubbling, and I was ignoring them.
Mm.
So crying is a good thing. Not being able
Mhm.
to cry because of that situation, what I haven't mentioned is that for 20 years I couldn't
Mm.
cry. I didn't cry for 20 years. I couldn't make myself cry. I remember standing in front of the mirror and forcing myself to cry, and I couldn't. that not only pushed down, but pushed down, shut the door completely, sealed it, and throw away the key. That
Oh,
was what I did. And it came up after almost 30 something years to haunt me and say, okay, deal with it now
now
because
you're
you
ready to
have to.
deal with it. Go on. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. No,
So don't
I
be
know,
afraid to
like
cry.
a lot of times tears are posed as if like, oh, somebody's crying because they are weak. At least
Not
that's
at
how I
all.
was.
Come on. No,
It's
no, no,
it's
no.
completely the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no. Thank you for sharing that, Penelope, because I would say this is magnificent progress on your inward journey towards yourself. Because 20 years back, you've looked at, then you're reaching back, you're reaching back, you're reaching back, and you're releasing. So that's such a big win. I feel incredibly proud. Not like you need me to say that, but I'm feeling incredibly proud of you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, Penelope. So here, our audience, like, whether they're listening right now or later, if they're like, okay, Penelope, I love what you say. I feel really aligned to the person you are. Because, a lot of people would say, okay, I'm a transformational coach. I deal with this. But I think what truly shines out is this person behind the coach, you working on yourself, because when you heal you feel, and the more you heal the more you're present for your clients. So when,
Mhm.
if somebody wants to reach out to you saying, okay, Penelope, I would like to work with you, what is the structure of your work roughly? Like how many sessions, how do you work?
First of all, I don't work session by session.
Yeah,
You don't
okay.
change in one session. Let's
No,
be honest.
no, that's not possible. No, like people
Yes.
have, I don't know, 2 months,
So
3 months, 6 months. So what's how do
for
you work?
me, I have two packages, two ways to work with me on a private way. The one is 100 days, and the second one is 5 months. From my
Mm-hmm.
experience, we need minimum 3 to 5, 6 months to not only to get rid of lots of stuff, but also to install new habits, ideas, thoughts, because our thoughts are creating our results, not our circumstances.
No.
And this is proven.
Yes.
Something happens, and it's not the thing that is causing you the pain, is the thought that you attach to that thing that is causing you the pain,
True.
that is causing you to act the way you act. So they can work with me either 100 days or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one way they can work with me. In the near future, I will have something else to offer, but I'm not ready right now to obviously to announce it. But I would like to invite our listeners and our viewers to, if they want to explore what's going on with them,
Mm-hmm.
just book a call. The first call, I always offer it complimentary. To be able to work with a coach, you need to figure out if there is chemistry. You cannot trust someone
No.
without experiencing him or her coaching you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to invite you to book a call with me. Let me coach you on something that you want to discuss, and then you can decide if we are a right match or not. Maybe we are not. Maybe I feel that I cannot help you, and I am honest with my clients, and I don't deal with trauma. I am not a trauma therapist. I don't go there. I always refer.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone needs to stay within their zone of
Of
genius
course.
and help their
Mm-hmm.
clients. That this is how I work.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. That's brilliant information. And I would totally agree. I think in that first session, it's like you get to know, is this process going to work for me? Do we have the chemistry? Do we work together? So yeah, could not agree more. And in the description we have the link where so the link is more about they can book the call with you, is that right? Yeah, the links that you sent me.
Um, you have two links that I've
Mhm.
sent you. In the one, there is, yes, there is. inside the Slick bio, there is the link to book a call with me. Yes.
Yes. So if our viewers could just go to the description for the podcast, both the links are there. Feel free to click and you can get to Penelope. Dig deep, find who you're meant to be and get rid of all the crap, all the limiting beliefs, blocks, the colored glasses that we learned to wear, to look at the world, to clear them up, look at the world with
Yeah.
a new perspective, aligning with the true you, being your authentic self. I think that's the biggest gift we can give to ourselves, right? So on the day that you are leaving, when it's time, it's the last hour, you're not going to ask yourself, oh, I did not do it because I could have failed. Oh, what could have people said? I think mostly what comes up is, I should have done that. I could have done that. I would invite you to join the dream of living a life where, when it's time to leave, whenever that is, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, there's no regret. Yes, I fell. Yes, I got back up. Yes, I listened to my deeper calling. I kept, it's not about whether you succeeded or not, but the journey, choosing to make that daring journey beyond your comfort zone, embracing the magic you're here to bring to the rest of the world, touching them in your own unique way. It was a pleasure and honor to be of service. And the intention of the podcast is to be able to reach that one person who needs to listen to this. And I do this because I have been that person on the other end. And that one podcast, that one statement that kept me going in my deepest, darkest hours. And that's the whole reason this podcast started in the first place. Penelope is amazing. Please look forward. I really would want to go ahead, find out what coaching with her is like, and dive into the call. All right. So, as always, let me know your thoughts about it. I always look forward to feedback, how I can make this better to you, how I can be of service. But it was a pleasure and honor to be here, and I look forward to see you again in the coming week. So we've got two more amazing guests in the next 2 weeks. So the next week we have got Scott Holmes, and the week after it's Sarah Jane. Both of them are amazing, and I would say trailblazers in their own light. They're going to be really heartwarming, soul-stirring sessions as well. Looking forward to have you there. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank
Anything
you.
else you
Bye
would like
bye.
to share, Penelope? Anything that I have forgotten to cover? Anything that comes to you that I haven't been able to?
We covered so much, so much. I'm so grateful. I would say life is too short to live it in suffering and misery. Decide to be happy and do something about it.
Yes, I could not agree more. Okay.